right, peace, family. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Black Families Rising. My name is Grinder Spencer, aka Grinder, the Strong Dad Coach, here with my wife and lovely co-host, Jazza Love. And we are still doing Juneteenth through the rest of this month. So these interviews, we're doing the Juneteenth interviews. And so we have another special guest, Miss Eady, who we had the pleasure of getting to meet during the New Bern Juneteenth celebration. Thank you for joining us today, Miss Eady.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
No problem, no problem. So let's go ahead and get this thing started by having you introduce yourself, by telling us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your business, and a brief background story on yourself.
All righty. Well, my name is Lavoria Eady, and everyone knows me as Eady. I am originally born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. So, Eady's
All right,
Frozen Treat originated from Brooklyn, New York, because that's what I grew up on, Italian ices.
right.
Um, we were as kids, we would always see like Italian ices. It would be somebody that would have like a little cart on wheels, and they would be everywhere. They'll be in the parks, they would be wherever a child can go and play at, there was always an Italian icy. And there was only four flavors at that time. There was only coconut, pineapple, cherry, and pina colada.
Oh,
Those were
wow.
Yeah, those were the flavors that were out there. So I pretty much love coconut. So coconut was my go-to. So, as I got older, I decided that I always wanted to start an Italian ice company, but I didn't know how and I didn't know like where to begin. So I started doing some research on what does it take to start an Italian ice company. And some of the researches was you can start one, but it was like you had to find someone that could be your supplier, because
Right.
most time the Italian ices are made, through another company, and then they will set you up like a turnkey business, you know.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, like so you would have to actually be under them to be able to start up, but they would start you up with, your own cart and your own ices and stuff like that, but you'd pretty much have to buy into to that thing, and that would start anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 on up, depending on the size of the cart, depending on how much ices you wanted to be able to sell, the different flavors.
Okay.
So at that time, when I first decided to do it, that was very expensive.
Right.
I said, well, I might not be able to start it right now, but eventually I will. So one day I worked hard and I saved my pennies, and I was able to buy a cart. And actually, last year was the first year that I rolled it out. So I bought my first Italian icy cart. And at that time, I didn't know really what I was buying. It was a used cart, and I paid $800, and it probably lasted me for like 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Right,
wow.
because the Freon went out in it. But I mean, I'm just starting. I don't know, when you buy a card, I didn't know to check the Freon. I just
Right.
thought you buy the card, get the ices, and you just roll with it.
Right.
So, but anyway, in those 2 months, I noticed that there was a great need for it, because down here, a lot of people was raised on snow cones.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And so when I started coming around and started doing some events and stuff like that, people were asking like, what is an Italian ice? Is it like a snow cone? What exactly is it? Is it like a gelato? Like exactly what is it? So I pretty much had to let them know it is kind of similar like a gelato, because it is creamier. It's not made with shaved ice. It's actually made with a more blended kind of slushy kind of texture, and then you
Okay.
freeze it so it has a more creamier texture to it. And
Uh-huh.
so like I said, within those 2 months I realized that there was a need for it. People started asking more about it, and they began to really, enjoy it. So then when the cart went down, I was like, heartbroken because I was like, I'm just now getting started. People are asking me to come out, and I don't have no way of, providing these ices for them. So then I
Right.
decided to get a trailer, and that's what I sell my ices on now. So I now have a trailer, and I have two freezers in there, and like as you've seen, Juneteenth, and now I sell my ices from there. But my background story actually came from growing up with Italian ices, and always had a love for it, and always wanted to, you know, get into the business with that.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
Sweet.
wow. And those ices are delicious.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank
it
you. I actually
really
put
helps
like
us
a little
out.
I put a spin on them a little bit because a lot of times they're made with, depending on how you make them and depending on the recipes, they have it where it's more like syrup and ice and stuff like that. But me, I'm
Uh-huh.
more of a trying to get away from more of the sugary, the artificial stuff. So I like to add real fruit to mine.
Right. You can tell the taste is different. I have
And
actually had the pleasure of having Italian ices when I was a kid. We used to go
mm,
to Philadelphia and New Jersey a lot when I
right,
was growing up. Yeah, and that's first place I tasted them was actually in Jersey. And
mm-hmm,
so I can attest to the flavor being much, much better and different from what I
right,
remember tasting as a kid. You know, real syrupy, real sweet, but yours just it was just more natural and
right.
refreshing. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to you on that. That's
Thank
you
you.
yeah, you found a great recipe in that. That is great.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
And we saw that line standing
It,
outside in that heat.
yes,
Man,
yes,
it was
it
hot
was
out
hot. It
there.
was, yes, but it was the perfect day for it.
It
It
was.
was.
It really was. Um, so we're going to go on to the next question, which would be, since we're talking about Juneteenth,
hmm
why is Juneteenth important to you? And knowing that you come from New York, I
hmm
love to hear your perspective.
Okay, well, Juneteenth is very important because for one of what it stands for, it's the day of our Independence Day.
Right.
So that goes without saying. But as you said, like New York, is interesting to see how the different states and how different areas celebrate Juneteenth. Because this was probably my first Juneteenth in North Carolina.
Mhm.
And so, in New York, it's a major thing in North Carolina because you have so many different counties and stuff, and everybody celebrated a different way. But it just seemed
Right.
like when it's celebrated Juneteenth, when it's celebrated in Harlem, it is I can't even I can't even explain it. It's
Right. Right.
like it's okay. So you had New Bern and you had Juneteenth, and then you might have had, Jacksonville and Raleigh and everybody like that. But it's like when you have Raleigh, not Raleigh, when you have Harlem, it's like even though Harlem is kind of a borough, you know,
Right.
up in Manhattan area, it just seemed like it was a state because it was just that massive,
Right.
is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So um I absolutely love the fact that we are celebrating it more. I love the fact that we are doing more as a community, and each year that we have it is growing and growing and growing.
That's true. With that being said, again, judging from your background and coming from New York, now being in New Bern, what do you think that we could do differently, or what we could improve on in ways of how we celebrate Juneteenth in our communities?
I would like to see. I know they had art and they had different shows and programs and stuff like that, but I would actually like to see like some of the dance theaters or do a little bit more in the community as far as Juneteenth.
Right.
maybe put on something that like the whole community can go to, because some of the events that they had were toward the evening,
Uh-huh.
and it would have been nice to have like some of the events or some of the showings during the festival part of it,
Right, right.
you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
More,
Mm-hmm.
I guess like a Harlem Renaissance type feel.
Something like that, but
Um,
more like,
yeah,
right
Yeah.
there on the stage where, everybody was around to see it.
Right.
yeah, I agree. I do agree. We have to work on doing better with that as far as showcasing, because it was a lot of, I guess, different events happening on different days, and it wasn't
Right,
anything so much as a collective.
right.
Uh,
At the festival itself.
right.
Yeah.
That's true. I appreciate that perspective. I agree. I
Yeah.
do.
And it's something that we all have to work on. I know there was a lot going on, like you were saying, a lot of different places were doing Juneteenth at a different date and different time. And,
Right.
I know when we was in Indiana, where she's from, the first time when we actually started learning more about Juneteenth, and when we saw their Juneteenth, festival, it was everybody from Chicago, Illinois, and everybody just kind of flocked in one place versus
Mhm.
having it, in all different places. Now, don't get me wrong,
Right.
Chicago did their thing too, but the way they did it was so I don't remember who did theirs exactly on Juneteenth, but one of them did. So everybody flocked to that one. And then the next day they had probably in Chicago, I think.
Mhm.
So then everybody just went there and everything's like an hour away, 45 minutes away, or something like
Right.
that. So, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it was just a different type of feel, and then one thing I know they're working on is employing more of the education into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because people, a lot of people, even though they come to celebrate Juneteenth at the festivals and celebrations and events, they still have no idea why they're there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's to the point like I walk the streets and I would say Happy Juneteenth to people, and the looks that I would get from some people, like they would just say it back to me like, I have no idea what he just said, but I'm gonna just pay respects to this brother
Right.
because
Right. Yeah.
so
Definitely. Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, no, no. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's the biggest thing really is in the talks that we've had with other vendors and other people about this. The biggest thing is just the education, making sure
Mm-hmm.
that everybody knows and understands what Juneteenth really means.
Right.
When you know what I'm saying, the beginning of it, the origin story, because that's really what gets people. And then when you have the young ones that are coming up. We want to make sure that they know so they can carry
Mm-hmm.
on these traditions.
Right. Right. But before they can do that, they need to understand what it means.
Correct.
It's not just a festival like, downtown, like the regular festivals that they have. It actually has a meaning to it. So yeah,
Right.
definitely the education of it.
True, true. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you do this part. You do this so well.
Well, this slide is pretty much for anything that you would like to advertise or promote. We give this opportunity so we can help you expand your business as far as in New Bern in North Carolina. And do you also travel as well, or do you
Yes,
just
yes,
serve?
ma'am. Nope, I travel. Yes, ma'am, I travel. Well, with this slot, let's see. The one thing that I would like to promote is still in the works, is I would like to be able to offer entrepreneurship to youths
Mhm.
from probably the ages of 14 to 17.
Okay.
where they would be able to have a small business. Um, it's still in the works. I'm still kind of putting it together, but I would like to see more entrepreneur with Eady's frozen treat, not just adults, because we have some strong business-minded youths that's out there that just need a chance.
Yeah, yes,
They
we
need a
do.
start.
It's
Mhm.
true. That's great. I commend you on, on wanting to do that for the youth. So just, I guess, let us know where we can help at, whether we can, send some youth your way.
Okay.
To help just advertising
Right,
or
with advertising or, whatever you want to start. Because I know you said it's still in the works. So
Right.
wherever you feel you need help in, just let us know and we'd be happy to help you achieve that because that's
All
needed
right.
in the
Thank
very
community.
you.
good.
Thank you.
No problem. We're proud.
All right. So anything else you'd like to let us know? Right now you can plug in your if you have a website or where people can follow you or find you at.
Okay. Well, right now I am on Facebook, so it's Edie's Frozen Treat Facebook, and I do try to post events and that I'll be located for people that try to find me. I am in the process of building my own website, which is another thing that I'm good with, technology.
All right.
So, um yeah, and once I get that up and running, there is an Instagram. I do have an Instagram as well, but like I said, I'm really starting out. This is like last year was the first year to get started, but this year, is where I'm learning and I'm growing.
Right.
And so
Understood.
I'm adding more things to it, So, but it gets better.
True. Look, we get it.
Yeah.
We get it. We've been doing this podcast thing now for 2 years, and we
Wow.
just became a nonprofit. So it's entrepreneurship thing. It's rough. It's not for the weak minded. I'll say that for
Definitely.
the weak hearted.
Definitely.
But
Definitely.
if you
There's
have
some
that,
days.
that
Yeah.
passion. Yeah, you know
Yes.
what I'm saying? So if you got that passion, hey, and this goes to anybody, if you have the passion to be an entrepreneur or anything that you ever love to do, like she says, her frozen treats, grew up on that. So if it's something that you're passionate about, something that you love, something from your childhood, you can
Mhm.
make a business out of it. Don't just sit on the sidelines. If it's something you feel like you want to do, just do it. Time waits for nobody. So
Right.
push
And
forward and keep.
you'd be surprised how much support there is out there. Because there's actually a group on Facebook called Italian Icy Vendors.
Oh,
Yes, there's a group out there and they ask all kinds of questions like how do you keep it cold? How do you travel with it? What generators are you using? So if it's anything that you're looking forward to do, there's a group out there. There's people out there to help you.
true,
That is
true.
true.
That is awesome. All right, well, thank you so much again for joining us. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Yes.
Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure tasting your product. Again, you guys gotta try her product, Eady's Frozen Treats. Please
Thank
follow her
you.
on Facebook, Instagram, wherever she is. Y'all tag along and get some of these incredible treats. I'm telling y'all, will not you look. You'll be satisfied. I'm telling you. So, without further ado, we're going to close this thing out. Thank you
Thank
guys for
you.
listening. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for listening to us, for checking us out. Again, you can find us on Instagram as well, Facebook. My wife can tell you better where we are.
Facebook, YouTube, Google us, Patreon, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast. Yeah, if you pull us up on Google, you will find all of our avenues.
Yes, we're worth a Google.
Definitely.
So thank
Definitely.
you so much again for being with us and you guys for listening. And as always, we want to say keep striving.
Keep riding.
Peace.
Peace.
No matter how it's going, live a little life. Stack that paper, be faithful to your wife. And if you're locked down, Machiavelli hold your head. If you're locked down, Machiavelli hold your head. The Don Illuminati, all through your your body. Watch the word of God blast, 12 gauge shot it. And if you're locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. If you're locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. Man, take care of them kids, never give up on them. Take care of them babies, let them know you love them. And if you're locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. If you're locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. No matter how it is, it's a blessing in the skies. No matter how it is, it's a blessing in the sky. Find a way to survive, cause they win when your soul dies. You can't own a child of God with free in the mind. You can't own a child of God with free in the mind. You can't own a child of God with free in the mind. You can't own a child of God with free in the mind. You can't own a child of God with free in the mind.